Hey everybody, today we're going to be reading chapter 22 of Deuteronomy, and after I get done reading scripture, I'm going to explain what I think about it, how I feel about it, and I'm not an expert in scripture at all, so please do not lean on my understanding, but trust in the Lord for understanding and for guidance. Hold up. My bad. And if I mispronounce any names, places, people, words, anything like that, I do apologize. And I gotta throw this away. Oh my goodness. It's the apple, y'all. I think I left it in here in the car. I don't know how long I left it in the car. I don't think I left it in here long, but what I think happened was I think it froze, and now it's defrosting and it's all mushy or whatever. I'm gonna have to throw it away, but it's fine. I guess don't freeze your apples. I don't know. Anyway, I do apologize if I mispronounce any names, places, people, words, anything like that. I'm reading from my Bible. Excuse me. It's the New Living Translation for those who want to follow along. And without further ado, let's get started. If you see your neighbor's ox or sheep or goat wandering away, don't ignore your responsibility. Take it back to its owner. If its owner does not live nearby or you don't know who the owner is, take it to your place and keep it until the owner comes looking for it. Then you must return it. Do the same if you find your neighbor's donkey, clothing, or anything else your neighbor loses. Don't ignore your responsibility. If you see that your neighbor's donkey or ox has collapsed on the road, do not look the other way. Go and help your neighbor get it back on its feet. A woman must not put on men's clothing, and a man must not wear women's clothing. Anyone who does this is detestable in the sight of the Lord your God. If you happen to find a bird's nest in a tree or on the ground, and there are young ones or eggs in it with the mother sitting in the nest, do not take the mother with the young. You may take the young, but let the mother go, so that you may prosper and enjoy a long life. When you build a new house, you must build a railing around the edge of its flat roof. That way you will not be considered guilty of murder if someone falls from the roof. Okay, we're going to talk about that later. Okay. You must not plant any other crop between the rows of your vineyard. If you do, you are forbidden to use either the grapes from the vineyard or the other crop. You must not plow with an ox and a donkey harnessed together. You must not wear clothing made of wool and linen woven together. You must put 4 tassels on the hem of the cloak with which you cover yourself, on the front, back, and sides. Suppose a man marries a woman, but after sleeping with her, he turns against her and publicly accuses her of shameful conduct, saying, "When I married this woman, I discovered she was not a virgin." Then the woman's father and mother must bring the proof of her virginity to the elders as they hold court at the town gate. Her father must say to them, "I gave my daughter to this man to be his wife, and now he has turned against her. He has accused her of shameful conduct by saying, 'I discovered that your daughter was not a virgin, but here is the proof of my daughter's virginity.' Then they must spread her bed sheet before the elders. The elders must then take the man and punish him. They must also fine him 100 pieces of silver, which he must pay to the woman's father because he publicly accused a virgin of Israel of shameful conduct. The woman will then remain the man's wife, and he may never divorce her. But suppose the man's accusations are true, and he can show that she was not a virgin. The woman must be taken to the door of her father's home, and there the men of the town must stone her to death, for she has committed a disgraceful crime in Israel by being promiscuous, while living in her parents' home. In this way, you will purge this evil from among you. If a man is discovered committing adultery, both he and the woman must die. In this way, you will purge Israel of such evil. Suppose a man meets a young woman, a virgin who is engaged to be married, and he has sexual intercourse with her. If this happens within a town, you must take both of them to the gates of that town and stone them to death. The woman is guilty because she did not scream for help. The man must die because he violated another man's wife. In this way, you will purge this evil from among you. But if the man meets the engaged woman out in the country and he rapes her, then only the man must die. Do nothing to the young woman. She has committed no crime worthy of death. She is as innocent as a murder victim. Since the man raped her out in the country, it must be assumed that she screamed, but there was no one to rescue her. Suppose a man has intercourse with a young woman who is a virgin but is not engaged to be married. If they are discovered, he must pay her father 50 pieces of silver. Then he must marry the young woman because he violated her, and he may never divorce her as long as he lives. A man must not marry his father's former wife, for this would violate his father. Thus ends the reading of chapter 22 of Deuteronomy. Okay, y'all, we got a lot. We got a lot to go over. So go ahead and buckle up. Get settled. Get your popcorn. Get comfortable. Get a fuzzy blanket. Get some hot chocolate. I don't know what you gotta do, but get comfortable, cause this gonna be a long one. It's gonna be a long one. So let's start with the first thing, which is the easiest thing. About the ox and the sheep or the goats wandering away, and it belongs to the neighbor. You need to help them out. Take care of they animal, and until they come and get it. Or if somebody lose something or whatever, and who it belonged to, don't just leave it lost. Return it to the person. It's just that's just common. That's just common stuff that everybody's supposed to be doing. That's being kind. Like, if I lose $100 and that's my $100, it would be wonderful if you would return it to me. Don't take it don't take it and keep it for yourself, or don't just leave it lost. That's kind of messed up. Like, especially if you know who it belongs to. Now, if you don't know who it belongs to, we got this system now where we got a lost and found, and we'll let we'll let people know that we found something. If this yours, come get it. You know what I'm saying? Like it reminds me of how people put up posters of they pets being lost all the time, and they want to know, hey, if you seen my pet, call me. This is my information. I want my fluffy thing back. I want my fuzzy baby back. So, like help people out. If they lose something, and who it belongs to, help them out. If you don't know who it belongs to, then do the right thing. It's like it's let's treat people the way we want to be treated. You know what I'm saying? All right. Okay. Here's where we get into the deep conversation. The meat and potatoes of this chapter. Okay. So it says, this verse 5. A woman must not put on men's clothes, and a man must not wear women's clothes. Anyone who does this is detestable in the sight of the Lord your God. Now, this reminds me of the whole homosexuality thing, the LGBTQIA plus community. It's just sad. Every time I say that, I be thinking, like, we shouldn't even have all that. I shouldn't have to say all these letters in order to, anyway, basically, I think about the homosexual people and how a man who's a biological man for some reason feels like he's a woman, and he either goes through a transition, which I feel like that should not be available. We should not be changing. We should not be mutilating men and trying to turn them into women, and we shouldn't be mutilating women and trying to turn them into men. Like what are we, like, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? I don't know. But that's why I said, if they was a biological male and they for some reason want to be a female, feel like they a female, like, they made the conscious decision to transition, change into a female. If they can't get the medical surgeries done in order to do that, which is ridiculous, then they just pretty much try and, like, play the part of a female in a relationship, which I wouldn't even call it a relationship. Like, because it's not supposed to happen. But, anyway, like the man might wear feminine clothes. The man might, like dresses and stuff. I don't know. Makeup, nails done, heels, wigs, feminine stuff. I don't know. It's ridiculous. But, okay. Females, all right, you're biologically born a female, but for some reason you feel like you're a male, so you end up, if you can't get that medical surgery done to become a male, then you pretty much start to wear men's clothing, like suits, ties, I don't know, men's clothing, like non-feminine stuff, I guess. And you end up basically being the so-called male in the relationship. I don't know. Basically, yeah, I just think about the homosexual people, basically, when it comes down to that verse. And it's sad. The Lord doesn't like the act of homosexuality. He doesn't like it when you do that gay stuff, okay? He loves you as a person, but he doesn't like the sinful actions that you engage in. Me personally, I feel like the only ones who get to claim, the only ones who get to struggle with their identity is those people who are born with both genitals. That's it. That is it. Them the only ones that get to struggle with their identity. The only ones, truly. Everybody else, you was either biologically born a female or you was biologically born a male. And that is who you are. Period. Okay? How you feel it don't matter to me. What were you biologically born as? What was your gender at birth? Whatever that is, then that's what I'm gonna address you as, pretty much. Like, that's what I feel like you are, anyway. Me addressing you, I probably would address you as a they or something. I don't know. It's like I try and be respectful, but at the same time, if I clearly know that you're a man pretending to be a woman and you want me to call you a she, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for laughing, but it's like some people it's just really obvious that, you know, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not. Now, it's some people that can truly fool you, because even in the Bible, I can't remember where it says this, but even in the Bible, it says that we're not going to be able to tell the difference between a man and a woman. You know, like we're not going to be able to look at someone on the street and be like, you know, oh, that's a man, oh, that's a woman. Sometimes you just really don't know, because some men can actually pull out like that. They end up looking like beautiful women. Like you would have never known unless they told you. Would have never known unless they told you. Like, that's scary. That's some scary stuff, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, so that's enough of that. That's enough of that verse. Okay, the verse about the whole bird's nesting, me personally, I would not take the eggs. I wouldn't take the eggs and leave the mother alone. I would take that nest and I would put it up in a tree somewhere where it'd be safe and where it won't fall or nothing. And I would let the mom be with her babies. Period. I don't need no eggs. I can live without eggs. You know, that's just my opinion on that verse. I mean, this is what they did back in the day. You know, this is what they did back during biblical times. But it's a lot of things in this chapter, though, that I do feel like we can still practice today. But in order to be safe, I always love to tell people that we are living after Jesus' death, resurrection, and ascension, you know. So if you want to know how to live your life now, go to the New Testament, read the New Testament, you know, read Jesus' words, you know, the Gospels. You know, that's the first 4 books of the Bible, you know, of the New Testament. It's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You read that. Jesus, if you follow Jesus' teachings, you'll be all right, because he came here and he fulfilled all of the laws and the prophets. So you good if you follow the Lord's teachings. But back to this Old Testament, though. Okay, it says, all right, this verse 8, it says, when you build a new house, you must build a railing around the edge of its flat roof. That way, you will not be considered guilty of murder if someone falls from the roof. Okay, so I'm guessing back in the day, they had flat roofs, you know, like as if you was just, you know, walking on a flat surface, like flat ground, you know what I'm saying? They had flat roofs. They roofs were not, like the roof was not, it wasn't a triangle shape, you know, like we be having our roofs now. It wasn't triangle shape. It was flat. So if you somehow fell off that roof, off that flat surface, I don't know how you fall off a flat surface, but I'm sorry. It's like how does that happen? But you know, it's okay. It's okay. If you fall off a flat surface, it's like that's messed up. That's messed up for the owner of the house to be charged with murder, you know, guilty of murder if someone fall off their roof. Like, they the person that fell off the roof. Like, that's not my responsibility. Like, that's legit they fault. Like, how you fall off my flat surface roof. But it's okay. It's okay. That's why the Lord telling us in this Bible to put a railing around the edge of your flat roof. That way you won't be held liable. You know, that way you won't be held liable for murder You know, you won't be guilty for murder if someone fall off your roof. So as long as you got that railing up there, you fine, I guess. I don't know. I just find that funny because like how, I don't know how that could happen, but okay. Apparently it's happened, so you know, because it wouldn't be in the Bible if it don't happen. You know what I'm saying? Okay, next verse. You must not plant any other crop between the rows of your vineyard. You know, because if you do, you're forbidden of using either the grapes from the vineyard or the other crop. Not sure why exactly, but I think that's just like standard like gardening rules, I guess. Like I guess one vineyard is meant for one type of crop or something. Like I don't know, but I just basically say that anything that's in this Bible, it makes sense. It makes sense. I might not understand it or not catching up on it or get it or whatever, but it makes sense. It must be some type of rules to gardening to where that I'm not aware of, to where if I knew them, this verse would make sense to me. So we're just not gonna talk about that one, but I know that it makes sense because it's the Lord's words and he always makes sense. Okay, number 10, verse 10. You must not plow with an ox and a donkey harnessed together. I love that verse. You want to know why? Because it reminds me literally of the whole being equally yoked thing. Being equally yoked means that two oxen are harnessed together and they're pulling the plow together. So they both have basically the same strength. They're both doing equal amount of work. They're both pulling this harness together. They're both pulling this plow together. They're both putting in the same amount of effort, the same amount of work, in order to pull this plow. Not one person is doing more work than the other one. You know what I'm saying? Like an ox being harnessed to a donkey, that's ridiculous. Because of course the ox is gonna be doing the most work. It's the strongest, it's the biggest, it's the one that's gonna be able to put in the most work in order to pull that plow. That donkey ain't really gonna be able to do anything, honestly. It's just gonna be along for the ride. It's just walking, ain't really doing much or nothing. It's not doing anything. So that's why it's important to be equally yoked with someone. Like, do you want a man that you have to take care of for the rest of your life, literally paying all of the bills, and then having to come home from your full-time job and you have to cook for this man, clean for this man, even though he was home all day because he ain't working. You gotta cook for this man, clean for this man, do all of this stuff for this man. Like, you're not putting in no work, no effort. Like, I'm just doing everything. I'm just taking care of you. Or do you want a man that's equally yoked to you? You went to college, he went to college. You graduated, he graduated. You work in your career in your field, he working his career in his field. You bring home $75K, he bring home $75K a year or something. Like, I'm just throwing numbers out there for the money situation, but I don't really care about the money situation. Like, you doing your part, You pay half the bills, he pay half the bills. You cook and clean, he cook and clean. You travel, he travel. Like, you preach, he preach. Like, come on now. Equally yoked. Y'all was meant to be together. Like, amazing. So, alright, next verse, my bad, verse 11. You must not wear clothing made of wool and linen woven together. Okay, I'm not sure like what really the significance of that is, but I do know that not only Jesus, but people back in the day, they loved to wear 100% linen clothing, 100% linen, bed sheets, on their bed. It has, I guess it does something, like, I'm not sure if it heals you or what the health benefits of it is, but I do understand certain materials don't work the best if they're mixed in with others. It just has to be 100% that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand. It's like the scripture makes sense. I just don't have the knowledge in order to really, in order to really explain it to someone who's confused. But it makes sense. Just know that. The next verse, the whole tassels thing, that's something that the Lord wanted the Israelites to do. The tassels is supposed to represent something. I can't remember. I apologize. I think it's I don't know. It's supposed to represent something. I'm sorry, but yeah, the tassels and them having to wear it on certain parts, hems of their clothing and everything. It makes sense. It makes sense. All right, let's get into this whole man accusing this woman, of not being a virgin when she was. I don't know what his aim was. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish by doing this. I straight up don't. I don't know if he was trying to just sleep with a virgin and then get out of being married to her, and I don't know. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish, because some men will do that. They will butter you up. They will wine and dine you just to. They'll even go through the marriage just to get you, just to have sex with you, and then they'll leave you, divorce you, because that's what they was after the whole time. If they say, like, if you a virgin and they want you a virgin, but you like, I'm waiting till marriage, they'll go through the whole process of making you fall for them, all that, just to get with you. And then after you give up your virginity to them, they'll leave. Some men is diabolical like that, but luckily, we serve a God. We have a God that protects us. So, so of course, the man, if it's found out that the man was lying about this woman, about this virgin of Israel, if he was lying about her, not being a virgin and everything, about him discovering that she wasn't a virgin, if they find out that he lying, then the punishment is that he must pay the woman's father 100 pieces of silver, and the elders must take the man and punish him. I'm not sure what type of punishment he will receive, but okay, I'm thinking it's probably got to be a physical punishment, like a beating or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's appropriate because, you're trying to tarnish the reputation of a virgin. Like, she literally saved herself a marriage. She did the right thing. And for whatever reason, you over here trying to tarnish her name when you know dang well she was a virgin and she gave her virginity over to you, but you trying to ruin her reputation. You trying to disgrace her or whatever, That's messed up. So when they said that they took him and punished him, that the elders have to take the man away, and punish him, and then the man gotta pay 100 pieces of silver to the woman's father. Like, yeah, I'm thinking there's probably some physical punishment, but that's just my interpretation. And then after that, after the punishment, and then after the 100 pieces of silver being paid to the woman's father, the woman is supposed to remain with the man, supposed to remain the man's wife. But the last thing is that the man is not supposed to ever divorce her. He can never divorce her. Because that was messed up. That was messed up for you to do that to that woman. Like, you went through all of that to falsely accuse a virgin of not being a virgin. Like what? That don't make no sense. Okay, so then let's say, because of course, the Bible be like, let's say the man, what if the man's accusations was true, right? Well, if the man's accusations was true, unfortunately, the woman ends up dying by stoning, because she ended up disgracing. She ends up being a disgrace to not only Israel but to her parents, because she was, being promiscuous, sleeping around or whatever, while living in her parents' home. Basically by, she was sleeping around with men who were not her husband. She was engaging in sexual immorality. So there's sexual, acts and stuff, not with your spouse. So yep, unfortunately she gets killed. But hey, that's what happens. But don't feel bad, because men can be killed for the same thing. If a man is caught, in adultery, then he and the woman is supposed to die, supposed to pass away. Now we go into the more the more detailed descriptions of things, like more detailed scenarios. It's like you really have to pay attention to the wording with these, because that will really determine whether or not you getting it. So it says, we have verse 23 basically. It says, suppose the man meets a young woman, a virgin, who is engaged to be married, okay? And he has sexual intercourse with her, okay? If this happens within a town, you must take both of them to the gates of that town and stone them to death. All right? It's because it says that the woman is guilty because she didn't scream for help. So basically that means it sounds like to me that this virgin woman who's engaged to be married had sexual intercourse with a man. And it sounds like it was wanted, like the woman wanted to do it. So that's like, that's sexual, that's committing adultery, because the man had sex with a woman who was engaged to be married. So yeah, so she's guilty because she didn't scream for help, and then the man must die because he violated another man's wife, obviously. So in that way, you purge the evil from among the community and stuff like that, because they passed, because they passed away. So that's what the Israelites did in the past. This part makes sense. It makes sense. Because it sounded like to me the woman wasn't raped. She wanted, that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But it says, but if the man meets the engaged woman out in the country and he rapes her, then only the man must die. And it says, do nothing to the young woman, because she has committed no crime worthy of death. She is as innocent as a murder victim. Since the man raped her out in the country, it must be assumed that she screamed, but there was no one to rescue her. So basically, this part is talking about, okay, what if a man meets an engaged woman, out in the country, not in the town, out in the country, and it specifically says, and he rapes her, then only the man must die. Because if the man meets an engaged woman in the town where there's a whole bunch of people, and let's say that she screams and everything, but he rapes her and stuff, then I feel like only the man would be punished because he raped her and she screamed for help. No one helped her because it still happened, but I just think that at that point the woman would be like, I don't know, humiliated or whatever. I don't know if she would be disgraced or not. But the words say what it say, basically. Because in the previous scenario, it says that the woman is guilty because she didn't scream for help, because she had because the man had sexual intercourse with her. She a virgin who's engaged to be married, and this happened within the town. So only the man would be stoned to death if she had screamed for help. If it was a rape situation. So that's the reason why I say what I say. If it happened in the town and stuff like that, and if she screamed for help, and if they couldn't rescue her, she ended up getting raped, then she would be innocent, because she at least tried to get away. She at least tried to get help. This man took her, without, consent. So therefore, only he would get punished, reasonably so. See, this is the Lord protecting women yet again, protecting us. Because, this type of stuff happens. All right, let's move on to verse 28. So, suppose a man has intercourse with a young woman who is a virgin but is not engaged to be married, okay? So this means that this just a virgin woman. She not engaged to be married, so that means she ain't nobody's wife. She just a virgin woman. She's single. So that means anybody can have her, right? So this man has intercourse with a young woman who a virgin. She ain't nobody's wife. She ain't engaged to be married. She's single. If they're discovered, which I mean, it's like they could be, they couldn't be, so that's why I say if they're discovered, then the man got to pay her father 50 pieces of silver, and then he must marry the woman because he violated her, and he may never divorce her as long as he lives. I'm not understanding the whole violate word, because when I think of violate, I think of basically a woman being forced to do sexual activities that she, that she don't want to do, like that's what I think of violate. I don't see it as a violation to a woman when she engages in sexual intercourse and she wants to. I don't see that as a violation. But it's probably a violation in this sense because they're probably thinking about it in terms of how it's like disgraceful for a woman to, have sexual intercourse with a man outside of marriage. So for this woman in this scenario, this virgin woman who's not engaged to be married to nobody, so she's not nobody's wife, this single virgin woman, for her to have intercourse with this man, and that ain't her husband or whatever, and she ain't engaged to him, I guess it's considered a violation, I guess, to her. I don't know, but somehow it violates her. Somebody explain it to me if you know. I don't know, but I'm trying my best to make sense out of it. Well, to understand it. I know it makes sense because these the Lord's words. The whole Bible is written by God, so I know it makes sense. I'm just not, for some reason, understanding, but hey. And then I love the fact that he can't divorce her. You had sex with a virgin woman, a single virgin woman. You wanted her, so now she yours. You gotta pay the bridal price, is what it sound like. You gotta pay the father 50 pieces of silver, and you gotta marry her. Like, I guess it's a violation to her because this man was literally this man took this woman's virginity and was trying to just dip off and not take care of this woman and not take responsibility. Like, that's messed up. Like, no, you gonna marry this woman and you can never divorce her, and you gonna take care of her because you took her virginity. Like, how dare you? Like, yeah, no, it is a violation to her. Never mind. I figured it out. Alright, and then the last part, verse 30, it says that, a man must not marry his father's former wife, for this would violate his father. Yeah, because first of all, why you over here looking at your father's wife anyway? Like, why you over here looking at your father's wife anyway? Like, you shouldn't be doing that. That's your father's wife. That's basically your mother. I don't care. You can say stepmother all you want. It's still your mother. Like, you're not supposed to be doing it. Like, that's not good. And you know what? I forgot about my little footnotes down here. Maybe it might explain something that I missed. Let me read real quick. Yep, the law was verses 13 through 21. They saying that the focus of these laws was protecting women from abusive behavior. Yep, we already talked about that. Yeah, and I already and they mentioned basically what I was saying, how that man was trying to, divorce that woman, the virgin woman who he married. He trying to divorce her, cuz he was claiming that she wasn't a virgin. So basically, like I said, he was trying to divorce her and either get back, whatever he paid, in order to marry her. Or, some reasons. For some reason, he was trying to divorce her for something. He was trying to gain something. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, but as soon as the husband is found out, as soon as the husband is found out that he was lying and everything, that he wasn't being truthful about that, the shame falls on him, of course. And I knew it says that he would be flogged. So basically he would have to be struck, with the whip, the leg tick whip. That's the flog thing, Yeah, he'd have to endure that physical punishment, like I said. He'd have to pay additional money to the father, additional bridal price money. And he would be unable to divorce her at all. Yep, that's it. Yeah, it didn't explain the other parts. I guess it didn't explain the other parts because the other parts are self-explanatory. And in a way they were, the Lord always does a wonderful job with giving us details and explaining things, you know what I'm saying? So yep, that's it for this chapter, guys. We made it. We finished. It was a lot we had to talk about, but it was worth it though. It was worth it though. So thank y'all so much for listening. I hope y'all learned something from this. What I learned basically is the Lord protects his women. The Lord protects us women from abusive behavior, from sexual abuse and all that. He protects us. It's laws in place for a reason. And the Lord will protect you. Like he will. Like he will get justice for you. Like he surely will. Like the Lord protected these women back in the day with these laws. And I'm pretty sure that in the New Testament, the Lord still be protecting us women from stuff. And, even to this day, he still protect us. He still protect us. Because it's stuff like that be going on around the world everywhere. Like, I'm just glad that we have the Lord's protection, because it's bad out here. It's bad out here. And I feel like it's just gonna get worse until the Lord return. But as long as you a child of God, you got the as long as you a child of God, you got the Lord's protection, you got the Lord's favor, you will be okay. And sometimes, we do gotta go through suffering and everything, because the Lord works best in weakness. And our suffering helps us to draw closer to the Lord, and it helps us to become the men and women of God that we're supposed to be. So I thank God for my suffering just as much as I thank God for my upcoming, not for my upcoming, basically from my for my success, basically. Like I thank him for the good times and the bad times. Yeah, I ain't want to say nothing else. Yep. Thank y'all so much for listening. I love you. Jesus loves you. And have a blessed day. Bye.